what do you make of the Steven Stamkos situation right now? I mean, we're not going to trade him. Not exactly shocking news based on his contract and the no movement clause and whatnot. But could you envision him in a different sweater next year? Like, wouldn't that be weird?
It's hard to imagine because, again, like Elliot said, all indications are that he would love to be a Tampa Bay Lightning, obviously. I think when
At what price?
Right. Well, so when we heard at the start of the season, when Stamkos made the comments about, how he wished there was more dialogue, and we're all kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting. Anyways, you get to this point where you're at now. He's a point-a-game player still, very effective player. Tampa Bay still in the playoff mix and wants to get in and all that. So it all makes sense from that perspective. When you look at who's coming off the books next year for Tampa Bay, it's not a ton of salary in terms of their unrestricted free agents. The only way that the Lightning gain any kind of flexibility cap-wise is if Stamkos takes a bit less or if he's not there, whatever it may be. But if Stamkos is back at the same number, you don't have a lot of ways to improve your team. And this is a team that, wants to get better. So they're in a bit of a bind that way. But I'd always be shocked if he's not back. And it sounds like the preference, like Julien BriseBois is a world-class general manager. You know that he's already looked at all of the scenarios about how that money can work and try to make it work. It's a tight squeeze, though, with their current cap situation.
They have to get more depth. They have to. They have to. It's been really their Achilles heel this year. In the years past, and this is, you can look at almost any Stanley Cup winning team or contending team. It's, 2 good lines make a really good team. 3 good lines makes a really almost kind of great team. 4 lines, you got it, especially that great third line. It's a difference maker. They had that for a couple of years. They had the Maroons, the Perrys at the right time of their career, too.
Blue line depth, too, though.
Blue line depth as well, absolutely. They don't have that right now, and they're seeing it. So the choice, I think, is going to be more difficult come the end of this year. I think it's smart. Julien BriseBois comes out and says he's not going to be traded. He's got the no trade, so he also controls it. But you're right, that's not going to happen. Does that mean he's going to be there next year? I don't know. I'd say 50-50 right now. It also could be just part of negotiation right now. But how much is he going to want? There are going to be teams out there for a point-a-game player like Kel says. There's going to be teams out there that's going to say, hey, we could do a 2-3 year type deal for this guy, and it would really help complete our team. Meanwhile, Tampa says, we'd love him here, but we need to make our team more complete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think a fair number would be on both sides? That both could, and we're not in the mind of Steven Stamkos, right? Like, he's the only one who understands what that number would be for his purposes. But what do you think a fair number would be for both sides that could make everybody happy? Like, he's at 8.5 right now, right?
Yeah. I mean, does he, 4 in there? I mean, that's a big cut. That's
I'm Stamkos.
Well, right.
Get that up, right?
More based on
of course. But does that make? But does that?
I don't know.
What you're asking, does that make both sides happy? You can say. And does he want term? Does he want
term? Is what interests me the most with that one. And in Tampa Bay, you can take home a little less and still take home more, right? Because of the no state tax. The term. That's where I wonder if Stamkos wants to get that until basically he's done playing, right? Where Tampa Bay may say, well, we want to cut that shorter, but then that raises the cap. It's a tough one.
Yeah, and it really is. As the offseason gets closer, so to speak, or does he look at his team, even though he is Mr. Tampa Bay Lightning along with 3 or 4 other guys, right? He's on the Mount Rushmore of Lightning players, no question. But if he says, wait, this team, I love this team, I love this city, but right now this team actually isn't going where I see it or want it to go. Right. But there's other teams that are saying, hey, you know what, we're loaded and we'd like to add. Does he start considering that? I don't know. I can't answer that.
All right, free agency is going to be fun if Stammer's the top dog out on that market this summer.